guys, welcome back to another market vlog. It is great to have you here again. If we haven't met, if you're new here, I'm Di and I am running my crochet business from our caravan as we travel around Australia. So guys, I know that I said in my last vlog that this video would pretty much just be a market recap of the market that I have tomorrow. So today it is Friday the 10th of July. I have got my market tomorrow on the 11th. And because I didn't sell much at that first market, my very first market last weekend, I still had all my inventory, and so I wasn't going to go through the same stuff again in another video and just basically cover the same ground. But I have been crocheting and I have made a few new products, so I just thought I'll jump on and I will show you the new stuff that I'm going to take to market. And I've also got a little bit of a yarn haul. I just happened to drop into Spotlight. On Monday I had to go shopping, and if anyone knows Shepparton, I shop at the marketplace, and so like on one side of the road is Spotlight and Big W, is Woolworths and Big W and all those kind of shops. And then to come home on the other side of the road is Spotlight. And like it would just be rude to drive past there and not go do a welfare check on the staff. So I went into Spotlight and I actually didn't need anything. I was just going to Spotlight. And they had just topped up all their mill end bins, and for the first time ever I got an awesome haul out of the mill end. So that's what I would like to show you now, and I have already used some of it to make some of the new items that I have for my market tomorrow, which is what I will be showing you very shortly. So I will start with the most boring colours first. It was actually really funny when I got home, because I ended up getting, what have I got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I ended up getting 10 bags of mill ends, and I got home and my partner was sitting here having smoko, and I'm like, I can't hide 10 bags of yarn. Like, I just can't hide that. And he knew I had the shopping, so he's going to come and help me unload the car. So I just blatantly got out of the car, just loaded my arms up with my 10 bags of yarn and just walked in here and dropped them on the ground in front of him. And I said, oh, I went to Spotlight. There was a bit of a, there was some cheap yarn. And then he didn't know what mill ends were. And so I explained the mill ends, and actually it might have been all week, but they had the mill ends on special for $10 a bag instead of 11. So when I explained to him that it's $10 for 400 grams of yarn, and that the balls that I use are like 100 grams for maybe $8, he looked at me and he's gone, well, was there more? You should have bought more. Was there more that you could have got? We can go back and get more. So I'm like, yahoo! I now have the permission and the license to shop freely in the mill ends bins. But let me show you what the colours are. So the first one is this kind of pale lemony yellow, which I don't have any plans for that colour. I just literally bought it because it was in the mill ends bin and it was cheap. We have this orangey gold, and again, I don't really have any plans, but that will be perfect for like beaks and legs on chickens and ducks and that kind of thing. And 400 grams, that's going to keep me going for quite a while if that's all I use it for. So I did get that one. And then there was this kind of dusty pink, a pale pink. Again, no plans. I just got it because it was there, and I don't normally get to get it. So I only got one bag each of those colours. And then in the last vlog, I was showing you those, the ducks with hats, the trending pattern at the moment. And I said to you that I didn't know what the yarn was that I had used because it was out of the mill ends bin from Spotlight, and it was just a really nice yarn, and I wish I knew what it was so that I could buy more of it. Well, the yarn gods smiled on me because in the mill ends bin were 3 more bags of that white yarn. So that's what I got. So, I mean, I'm only going to show you one because the white yarn is the white yarn, but I did get the 3 bags of the white yarn. Yeah, just because I can. I don't need a reason. And then I've left my favourite colours till last. So again, I have no idea what these are, but there's this blue, a bit of a multicolour blue. So it's like a blue with sort of a bluey purple and then a bit of grey through it. I have this, these are all the same brand too, these last 3. This in an orange. Actually, I can just see the light. Sorry, I'm outside again because I've got the heater going inside because it's been so cold. So there's this orange. And this is actually one of my favourite colours. I really, really like it. It's worked up really nice. And then, I can get that back into the bag. There is the same thing but in like a reddy pink. Let me get the sun off it. There we go. So they were my, oh actually there's one more colour. He's hiding over the back. Just give me a moment and I'll go get him for you. So it was actually 11 bags, not 10 bags of the mill ends. And so that's the last colour that I got. This one I haven't actually used yet. But yeah, I don't know what I'll make because I think with the way that's variegated, anything that is too large, rather than it kind of looking like a mix of colours, it might come out stripy, which like might be okay on the cats, but yeah, I haven't actually used it. I will need to have a play with it and just see how it's going to come up, and then I'll know sort of what I can make with it basically. But again, $10, too good to pass up. So that was my little yarn haul. So 11 bags out of the mill ends, and Rico's permission to buy as many as I want, whenever I want. He's so gonna regret that. And then while I was at Spotlight, I had this other idea, and it had sat in the back of my mind for the first market, but I just, I had enough going on. That one of the things that I would like to do is have the mystery bags or the mystery boxes. So while I was at Spotlight, I had a look to try and find a bag or some kind of little box that would be suitable. And so I went into their party section, and what I did find were these little bags. They're the loot bags. So they're all patterns, and a checked one. So yeah, these are 6 loot bags, and they're actually the perfect size. I've pulled them out and had a bit of a look. So you can soon put a plushie, a key ring or something in the bottom of that, and then just fold the top over and staple it. Or you really don't even have to staple, but if you wanted to staple it, you could. Or better still, rather than staples, would be to print one of my labels with my logo on it and actually close it with a sticker with the Drift and Loop logo on there. So those bags will be really good, and I thought, since I've got home and I've sort of thought the process through a bit more, I was like, I could use the bags and do like a $12 item. And then I also got their party boxes, same thing, but just in a box that you make up. And I thought, you know, they just feel a bit more premium. So like if I wanted to do a $15 or a $20 mystery box, then you could use these for that. So then I sort of started thinking through what I might put in them. And so for the $12, I was just sort of thinking keychains, just sort of semi-basic keychains. And so that's what I've been doing this week. I've been playing with keychains, and I'm not going to have it ready for this market tomorrow. Originally I thought that I would, but I just ran into a few roadblocks trying to find patterns that I liked. So I spent a lot of time making keychains only to basically get them finished and go, no, I don't like it, and throw it in the bin, essentially. But that's okay. That is okay. So I'll show you the keychains that I have made, that I have kept, that I do like. So the first ones that I made are the little leggy frogs. Really, really liked this pattern. Really liked it. I did change it up a little bit just to suit the way I crochet, because I have quite a tight tension. And I also just kind of changed the positioning. Oh, did a somersault. Just changed the positioning of the arms. I just put them more forward, and the body was probably a bit shorter as well. I think I added a few extra rows just to give him a bit longer body. But that was a really good pattern. I quite enjoyed it. It was a free pattern off Instagram, and that will be down below in my resources document as well. So my idea as well, just so that you know, so I was going to do 12 mystery bags, and that would be basically 6 different patterns, and there would be 2 of each type in the mystery bags. So 2 leggy frogs. Then I did these ones I really like. These were my little piggies. Really, really like the way they've come up. So, you know, 2 pigs, 2 frogs. I was going to have 2 cows, but I made the cow pattern yesterday and just really didn't like it. I really struggle with a lot of the cows because, I don't know, growing up on a farm, you know, I'm off a dairy farm and a beef farm. I've jillarooed, I've done all sorts of stuff. I've been around cattle basically my whole life. I just find that a lot of the crochet patterns, I don't like the noses or the muzzle that's on the cow. To me, when I look at them, I see pig, like it's, yeah, I just don't like it. I also don't know how to crochet it any better. So as much as I want to sit here and say I don't like it, I also don't know how to improve it. So until I can find something that I like, I will steer away from the cows. You know, my partner loved the little cow keychain that I made yesterday, and it was quite funny because I got it made and I just went, oh, I really don't like it. That's just, it's horrible. And I actually threw it in the bin. And then he came inside and found it in the bin and he went off. He's like, I loved it, it was cute. He's like, can you put a keychain on it? I'm going to have it. So he's now got it as a keychain. I just said to him, please don't show anyone. That is not an example of my work. Like, don't show that to the general public, please. So anyway, he's got his own little crocheted keychain now. But yeah, so I did make another couple. I will continue. I made some axolotls. So this was another free pattern off Instagram. Let's get that one up there. And I really like this pattern as well. When I started making it, it was actually like the full body. So it does have, it goes right down into the tail, and you do surface crochet the spikes or the frill or whatever it is onto the back. And I actually got, the first one that I made, I actually got down to, I'd put the back legs on and I was about to start doing the tail, and I looked at the size of it and I just thought, I don't want it that big for the price point that these are at. So I just frogged it, obviously. I frogged it back to the front legs, and then I just put, I think I put 1 extra round after the front legs, and then I just did my decreases and just closed it up. So it's basically just a bit of an altered pattern, but the full pattern for this again will be in my resources down below. And if you want to do the whole axolotl, you can. Otherwise, just do what I did and just do a round after your front legs. Or if you don't want the bobble legs in there, you know, you can leave them out and literally just have the head with the frill, and it's just a ball with no legs. It's still very much an axolotl like that. So there was the 2 axolotls, and then I made, this was going to be a bit of a bonus. I was going to have 2 bonus keychains. So I made my little rooster. Now he is one of the Porgy's Place patterns. So he's been made, and I quite like him. I know he's not a $12 keychain, but I don't know, I just keep coming back to it. Like, I know that, you know, the goal is to make money, but like at the moment financially, everyone's just doing it really, really tough, and especially for families. And you know, you look at families, they go out and they have 2 or 3 children, and if everyone wants a plushie, and you know, your cheapest plushie's like $15 or something like that, well, there's $45, and that's before the kids have had a drink or something to eat, or mum and dad have got something that they want. So I just kind of, I don't know, I just always like to have something a little bit cheaper, just to try and make it affordable for just those families that are doing it a little bit, you know, harder, a little bit tighter, just so that the kids can actually enjoy something, take something home and feel special as well. So yeah, so I'll keep doing, you know, the odd thing that is underpriced, and that's just because I like to be nice, basically. So that's my little rooster, and that is as far as I got with my keychains. So quite clearly it's not enough to do 12 of the mystery bags, and that's okay. I'll just leave it, and at my next market I'll be more organized and I'll have them all ready. And so last night I just because I like thrown so many patterns out, it's quite interesting how mentally it kind of almost kind of made me feel like I wasn't good at crocheting. And so I just went, you know what, I need a really basic, a really simple pattern just to make me feel better. So I made a cookie. So this guy will get sold as well. So just a chocolate chip cookie, something really, really basic. And I went to bed feeling successful because I tried another free pattern and it came out good. So yeah, he'll just be a $12 keychain. And then I did try making a donut as well. I really wanted to have a donut, but I need to find a different pattern because the donut was about the size of this cookie, and then you have to like whip stitch the inside of the donut together and stuff it. And I was like, oh, that is way too tight. I just need a bigger pattern. And mentally I was kind of cooked after the day that I had with frogging and throwing so many patterns. So that's all my keychains. The next thing that I did was, because I had got that yarn that I really liked from Spotlight, and that the last 3 lots, the variegateds, I wanted to make some Mabel chickens. That was my plan. So I made my little Mabel chickens, and she's so cute. She's a little bit smaller than the other ones. This yarn, this orange yarn in particular, was a lot thinner than the other colors, but I don't mind that she worked up a bit smaller. She's pretty sweet. And then I made, oh, you got red fluff all over you. So the blue and the red. So they were my chickens that I've made. So I'm really happy with those. And I did just do a grey chicken as well. That one is the Motivera blankie yarn. So that one replaced the one that was sold at my market last week. So I'm up to date with my chickens. And then I was thinking about my leggy frogs and thinking about a lot of my products that I have. And so with my frogs, I really only have them in a green. So like the existing frogs that I had are these 2 colors. And so I thought, I might just make some leggy frogs, and I will make them in different colors just to appeal to people who don't like green. Not everybody likes green. So I had a little bit of a play. So we ended up with essentially the rainbow. Oh. Why do I do this? Like every vlog, you know, what am I? I'm into my 6th video now, and I still attempt to put everything in one hand when we know that I just can't do it. But they are my colors. So I only did 1 of each. We'll just wait and see if they sell. And I mean, that's something that I can knock up really quick at the market. If a color sells, I can soon make a leggy frog while we are sitting there. Although hopefully I'll be that busy serving customers that I won't have time to make one. So the last thing that I did, as we know, the kittens, my loaf kitties were so popular at the last market. And I think I came home, I only had maybe three kittens that were left. So I sat down and I made some loaf kitties. So I'll just show you what I have made with them. So I made two little orange kitties. This one is just a solid, and this one I just gave the white face. The rest is all the solid orange. With the blue one, I made a little blue with a grey face. The rest of him is all solid. I had a play with a little chocolate point kitty. And then I made a couple of little grey ones, so they're slightly different. And then I made two of the brown and white ones, so they're all different. So that gives me now a total of 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 of 10 loaf kitties to take to this market. I was going to try and make some more, and I was going to make them just like plain white and give them, say, like a grey or a brown eye patch or grey or brown points. Today's Friday. I'm working on other stuff now with the business, so I'm not going to worry about it. If I want to do some crocheting tonight, then I might make 1 or 2 kittens, but I'm not too stressed really. There's enough there. If people are that keen to buy one, they'll take one of those colours. And then the other thing that was really exciting that happened yesterday is the market coordinator from last weekend actually contacted me via email. Someone had seen my stall on Sunday. They didn't actually purchase from me, but they've gone home and they've obviously thought about something and they want to make a purchase now. So they've actually contacted the market coordinator to see if they can get my phone number so that they can give me a call and make a purchase from me. So that's pretty exciting. And obviously whatever it is that they saw, you know, they really want it to be, but that was 4 days after the market before they've actually got in contact. So that was pretty cool. That put a smile on my dial, basically. And other than that, I think we're about all caught up. I will pack the car this afternoon for the market tomorrow. It's another early start for us. The market starts at 9 o'clock. The setup is at 7, and this market's at Murchison. So we have around about a 60k drive in the morning to get to Murch. And then, yeah, finishes at 1 o'clock, pack up and come on home. And then I'll do the recap on it. So this time I will endeavour, hopefully I have enough battery on my phone, but I will endeavour to take a before and an after photo of my stall. I mean, also last market, it really wasn't worth taking a before and after photo because I really didn't sell anything, so they were pretty much the same photos. I will catch up with you in a couple of days after the market and we will do the recap. So guys, I thought I would start this market recap with like the obligatory, you know, aftermarket photos and footage where as creators you dramatically reveal all the stock that you've sold. Word of warning though, make sure you are sitting down because this is going to knock your socks off. So how'd you go, guys? Did you spot the differences? Don't worry. If you said no, you're actually being honest. I sold a grand total of 3 items. So if you're really, really astute and observant, you will have noticed that the panda keychain was missing and one of the leggy frogs was missing as well. The third item, really, that isn't fair. It actually wasn't in the before photo either. So it was sold well and truly before the market even started. As I was setting up my table, the stall holder behind me was watching me, and it was a little Highland cow which I had made literally the night before at like 8:30 Friday night, thinking that this little guy's going to sell. He was so cute. So he did. He sold. He sold before I'd even finished setting my table up, before I could take any kind of footage. Yeah, she took him. And that little guy has actually, he will be going overseas. So she's heading back to Holland to see her mother, and she's taking the little Highland cow back as a present for her mum. So that's pretty sweet. So yeah, a grand total of 3 items for $47 for the day. So, you know, am I disappointed? I'm actually not. You know, do I consider it to be a failure? Again, most definitely not. So I thought it would be a good idea to keep a running tally of, you know, what my sales are, what my costs are, basically for each market. Now, I didn't do it for last week's market because, to be honest, I didn't think about it. I only thought about it literally right now. So I've turned the camera off and I went and did all my calculations, and I'm going to put them up beside me. And my idea is to, you know, each time I do a market, we'll do the calculations and I'll have like the overall totals on my sales and my costs, just so that we can see, you know, how long does it take me to break even? How long until I actually start to make a profit? Because I'm no different to you guys. Like, I watch all the crochet videos on YouTube and on Instagram, and all I ever see is, oh, I went to this market and I made this much and I made this many thousand and I did this. And then they give you a breakdown, right? But they say, oh, I sold X plushies and this is how much money I made, minus my stall fee. And so this is all my profit. And I actually argue against that. And you're about to see why I argue, because they're not actually paying themselves for their time at the stall. You know, like when I go to a market, I turn up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I normally get away by 1:30 in the afternoon. That's 6.5 hours. Plus there's probably, you know, not quite, but I'll say half an hour packing the car and then half an hour unpacking the car when I get home. So that's actually 7.5 hours in my time that I actually expect to be paid for. If I was doing this as an employee for someone else, I'm not going to pack the car and go to a market for an employer for free. I expect to be paid. And so when you run your own business, it's no different. So for me, I'm going to factor all of that into my costs. And I'm being quite fair. Call me a princess, but I won't get out of bed for anything less than $30 an hour. As far as I'm concerned, $30 an hour should be, and pretty much is close to minimum wage. I know it's not minimum wage, but it should be our minimum wage given our cost of living. And most jobs I work in, just because they're either remote or I do shift work, or, you know, it's kind of industry, you know, you're normally on $35 to $40 an hour. So I'm paying myself $30 an hour when I go to a market and for all the work that I do around it. So I'll stop yapping and we'll start to put the figures up. So I'm going to do the Mooroopna market first, which was my market last weekend. So at Mooroopna market, I made a total sale amount of $197. So from that, my stall fee was $15. My wages, which I just explained, is 7.5 hours at $30 an hour. So that is $225 for me to go to the market. And I might add, Wicco, my partner, he comes with me. I'm not paying him. That's a love job. But, you know, if you were running a proper business, I'd have to pay him. So that would be another $225. That would be $500 just in wages for 2 people to go and do a market. But he loves me. He can do it for free. I hope he loves me. And then I've also included travel because we've got to get in the car. The car uses petrol. We've got wear and tear on the car. So I've just gone $10 for travel. So when you add all of that up, for last weekend at Marupna Market, I made a grand total of minus $53. I actually lost money to go to the market. So that means it's pretty bleak for the market I just did at Murchison. Let's put the figures up for Merch Market. So my sales, like I said, a grand total of $47. My site fee at Murchison was $25. My wages, just for me again, $225. And the travel is $10. So when we add all of that up, again, I lost money. I lost $213. This probably wasn't a good idea, but anyway. So over my 2 markets, my running total at the moment, my total sales are $244. My total costs are $510, which means I am $266 in the red. So that's cool. I actually think this is going to be fun. I actually quite like doing this. So I'm a bit nerdy like that. I love figures. I love knowing exactly where I stand. And in actual fact, this still doesn't take in all the costs because if for people who are not in Australia, so we have compulsory superannuation. And sorry guys, the other reason why I find this interesting, in one of my many jobs that I've worked, I was actually a finance manager. So, you know, this is also why I'm going through the figures and I'm very much like documenting and saying this is what everything should be because I, you know, was finance manager of basically a multi-million-dollar company. So it's all got to be included. If you want to be honest about running a business, you've got to include everything. So here in Australia, sorry, I digressed. Here in Australia, we have compulsory superannuation. So that is basically for when you retire. And what it means is when you work for someone, they now by law, it is actually 12% of your weekly wages before tax. So 12% on top of what your weekly wages are. Each month, or actually the rules have just changed, each week now, that money will be placed into your superannuation account. And then when you reach 65 or 67, you are then able to start drawing upon that superannuation basically to live out your retirement. So if, you know, I am running this as a proper business, on top of those wages of, what was it, $225, oh, my maths, my head's not working, but let's just say 10%. Well, that's actually another 22, you know, another $22.50 each week that I should be paying myself to put into my superannuation account. And if we want to take that a step further, every item that I am selling actually should have another 12% put on top of it for my superannuation as well. So, you know, none of us do it. People don't do it when you have your own business because quite frankly, we just can't afford to. And that's why in this day and age, when not that we'll ever get to a cashless society, but as we are heading towards a cashless society, it's actually easier to go and work for an employer and have them pay your wages, have them pay your superannuation, than what it is to be in your own business and have to pay all these extra costs and basically fund yourself to do everything, particularly when it's just a small business borderline hobby, I would say. So, yeah, let's just see how long it actually takes until I can actually break even, until I can actually make some money. And it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not dependent upon my crocheting to make a living, thank God, because we'd be bloody hungry. But it's just something that I'm curious about. And if I am honest, you know, long term, I would like this to be something that maybe isn't my main source of income, but certainly a supporting form of income. You know, I will look at setting up online sales and getting my website up and all of that. So, you know, there is good reason to actually just take note of what your costs are and just see how you're traveling. Alrighty, so let's move on. I'm going to grab the little Highland cows because you guys didn't get to see them. So he was the little guy that sold before my market on Saturday. So I have made 2 more for my next market, which at this stage will be the Marupna market, which is the first Sunday in August. I have applied for the Cobram market just up the road, and that was for the 29th of July. But I don't know, no one's ringing me back. I've rung and left messages. I've left a message on their Facebook page asking if their site's available. I've heard nothing, and I'm not going to keep chasing them. My attitude is, if you can't respond to my phone calls, if you can't answer my messages on Facebook, then I actually don't want to go to the market because I'm not convinced that it's going to be greatly organised. Sorry, I'm pretty harsh like that. I just expect some common courtesy, and if you're not going to show it to me, I'm not going to keep chasing you. The other market that I have applied for is Violet Town, which is a really big market. And I don't know what the time frame is for them to get back to you. I'm also not holding my breath on that one, only because when I went through and read everything, it said that you had to have product liability insurance. And I'm not going to do product liability insurance on my crocheting. It's just unaffordable. It's unrealistic. And I don't believe that product liability insurance should be compulsory for a market. You know, your public liability insurance, yes, 100%. You know, that should be compulsory for a market. But product liability, that's up to me and whether I want to cover my products, and that's my business choice. So I don't have it. They say that you have to have it to have a stall there, so I'm not expecting to get into it, but we'll just wait and see. So anyway, let me just grab these little Highland cows and we'll have a look at them. Okay guys, so here they are. So I have made 2 for my next market. They are so cute. It is a pattern by Chanel's Crochet. It is a paid pattern off Etsy. I just love his little fringe. His little fringe is so cute. And his little horns. So yeah, one of these little guys is probably on his way across to Holland. So there we go. So moving on about the market, you know, I said earlier that I'm not disappointed, and I certainly don't consider it to be a failure or a waste of time. And I just want to expand on why I have that attitude, because, you know, most people would probably be disappointed. But early on in the piece, like at the market, I think we'd only just finished setting up. I think the market had just started. And I sort of had a look around, and there was quite a few stalls there. And I said to Wicco at the time, I said, I'm not expecting this market to be overly busy. And he said, why is that? And I said, well, if you have a look around, I said, I think half of the Murchison population's actually got a stall. So it doesn't leave many people to come through the door. And we just had a bit of a chuckle about that. And then the people started coming through, and they weren't even stopping at the stalls. It was literally just like this obligatory walk around the hall, you know, kind of browsing, looking at a stall from a distance, and in one door, out the other door, gone. And they were also old, and I mean, like, really, it sounds horrible, really, really old. And I think it was about 2 hours into it, and I turned to Wicco and I went, I think today's going to be a waste of time. And him being him, he's like, it's never a waste of time, love. And because I wanted to have my poor me moment. I just wanted to have my little, you know, pity die kind of story. And I've turned to him, I've gone, well, it is a waste of time when the average age of the person coming through the door is like 143 years old. So that's not my target audience. And he just started laughing, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you could be right there, love." But so then the old people basically stopped coming through, and then the families started coming through. But the families all had really young kids, young kids, like kids who basically don't get pocket money. And, you know, I know I've said it a couple of times now, but that's also why I have that $10 basket, is for families with kids, and, you know, just to make it affordable. The only problem was the kids, as little kids do, you know, I don't know if you remember if you used to do it, but like you'd go somewhere and mum and dad would give you your $5 or your $10 that you're allowed to spend for the day. And because you never normally got money, and so you'd hold it in your hand and you're walking around with this because it's like, oh, it's just gold. And so the kids are all walking around, and I looked, some had $10. The majority of the kids had $5. And my heart just sank, because there's nothing on my table for $5. And I just went, yeah, okay, time to reset my expectations for the day. And basically, I don't expect to sell anything. And, you know, essentially that's what happened. But I also really felt for those kids, you know, like $5. I don't think there were really any stalls that had anything for $5. And even outside, the food and the drinks, it was really expensive. A cup of coffee was $8. Like, Wicco got a milkshake. Excuse me. Wicco got a milkshake, and that was $6. You know, like $5, the kids couldn't even afford to buy a drink. Like, but anyway, like I say, times are tough. Times are really, really tough for people at the moment. But the good thing that came out of the market, let me just go back to that. One of the things about going to markets, particularly when it's, you know, your first time or your first couple of times, it's essentially just on the ground research, because you have no idea about the audience that is going to come to that market. And that's really what this is. It is market research. You know, I now know that I would never go and do Murchison Market ever again. And another reason possibly why we didn't have the foot traffic coming through, as Wicco said to me, like, we thought Mooroopna the weekend before was quiet. In comparison, Mooroopna was busy. But the reason why we think we had more people at Mooroopna is because Mooroopna's right on the edge of Shepparton. Literally, you just go across the river and you're in Mooroopna. And so you would have had people coming across from Shep. But Murchison's like out in the sticks. Murchison is 50, 60 k's from here. There's no other towns right there around Murch. And so quite literally, it's just the Murchison population that have come into the market. So, you know, you're not going to get that knock-on effect of people coming out from Shepparton to go to Murchison Market. So that also might have an effect on some markets as well. So it's, you know, it's learning. I've done a lot of talking now to the locals about the markets that are here in the area. And I am constantly hearing Cobram Market and Tokemore Market. They're the two best markets in the area. And of course, Violet Town. So I will try and contact Tokemore Market and see if I can get a site up at Toke as well. So yeah, that's, you know, that's why I'm not disappointed. It's just it is what it is. And traveling, with us traveling, I may actually find that I have more misses than hits when I do markets, because we're going to be going into towns cold with no knowledge of the town, no knowledge of, you know, what people like, just no knowledge. So basically I'll get into a town and we might be there for a while and I'll do a market, and what happens is what happens, really. And it'll only be when I stay somewhere, if we're working and, you know, we're somewhere for a month or 2 months or 3 months, that I can kind of go to a market multiple times or go to different markets and start to get an idea. So it's, you know, that it's just going to be the luck of the draw for me doing markets, basically. The other really good thing that came out of the day, when we were walking around having a look at all the different stalls, I saw some stands on one of the stalls that I really liked, and they looked like they basically broke down, that they would flat pack, and they looked lightweight as well. And then when we got back to our stall, the lady beside me, she was selling candles, and she had the same stands on her stall. And Wicco and I were looking at them, and I said to him, oh, I'd love to know where she got those from. So, of course, Wicco being Wicco, he just bowls on up to her and he's like, oh, excuse me, we love your stands. You know, would you mind sharing where you've purchased those? And she's like, yeah, of course. And she got them off Temu. So I have since come home and I've ordered one set of the stands, so just one stand. And they do come in all different sizes. So you can get them like a 3-tier, a 4-tier, and a 5-tier. And then they also come in different widths. So this lady had a 1.8 meter table and she had 4 stands on it, and hers were all, I'd say, around about 40 centimeters wide. So that's what I've ordered, but I've only ordered one just to make sure that it is right. And once it gets here and I've set it up and I'm happy with it, then I will order more. But then also in the process of searching for that, I came across a keychain display that I really liked, and I came across a higher one. I'm not too sure what it was aimed at selling, but it's basically, I think it's 70 or 75 centimeters high, and it's got 3 layers on it, and each layer has like 10 prongs coming off. And so I just thought that could be perfect for my dishcloths. I'd be able to hang on my dishcloths. I could get 2 layers and have all of them up hanging, which is what I'm after. So I've ordered that as well. So just waiting for those to turn up, and they will be probably in the next vlog, I would say. You know, put them together and have a look at them. And what my idea is to get rid of basically my boxes that I'm using at the back of my stand. So essentially they are just cat food boxes that I wrapped in craft paper. Let me just grab one and I'll show you exactly what I did. So I buy Shadow's food in bulk. So it comes in the big packs like these with all the beautiful purple colours on it. And there is obviously another box that would be inside of this that's got all the food in it. So that's what I'm using to get that back height on my stall. And like quite literally, this is the box. You can see the purple there. I just covered it. I wrapped it with craft paper and then I put it back over the solid box. I also used the box to pack my crocheting into. So, you know, I can basically cart my stuff to the market in these boxes. I unpack everything, put it out, and then, you know, display it on top of them. But as I said to Wicco, the issue with that is when we start traveling, I'm not going to be able to take like six cat food boxes with me. We don't have the space. And I know Wicco, and I know he'd go, oh, that's okay, Dales, we'll have room. We'll just put them in the back of the car or something. And I know that he says that now, but then I know that I would be hearing about it every time he opened the back of the car until the bloody cows come home. So it's just easier to not have them. So that's what my thinking is with these stands that I've got coming. They will pack down, basically all the shelves pull out. They've got a wing nut on them, so then the actual frame just folds up and then everything can just go under the bed or something in the caravan. They're made out of like a lightweight plywood, I think they are, and they actually still look attractive. So, excuse me. That's where we're at with everything. So, like I said, I haven't got a market for a couple of weeks now. Next week, I'm not too sure what I'm going to do in the vlog. Oh, actually, that's what I'm going to do. I've got a lot of exciting projects that I'm working on. I have started designing my own plushies, and I've nearly got my first one ready to go out for pattern testing. I'm also going to do a tutorial, just a free YouTube tutorial on my lavender flowers, how to crochet them, because that is my own pattern and I have had people contacting me, asking me about it. So I'll do a free YouTube tutorial, and then I'll have the written pattern that will be available to purchase, you know, on my website and on Etsy. So I'm also working on that. So what I thought I'd do maybe next week is to take you through like all that back end stuff that you don't normally get to see. You know, we all know crocheting takes time. You know, we make these videos, but honestly, this back end stuff takes hours and hours and hours to do. So yeah, I thought I'd run through that. I'll try and have this first pattern ready to show you guys. You know, you can be my first people to see it, because you all come on here and you've all subscribed, and you know, you're just supporting me. So I'd like you guys to be the first ones to see my very first design. But also, in having said that, my vlog may or may not come out Friday next week. The reason being, I have Wicco going into hospital next week, which is another reason why we're perched down here for a couple of months. Nothing serious. He is just having the first of 2 carpal tunnel surgeries, so it's just going to be a day procedure. He will be... Sorry, I didn't realise Shadow was sitting there, and she just spooked me. She just moved. Yeah, so he'll be having day surgery. You know, fingers crossed it all goes well. But yeah, you know, he should be fine. But man, you know, he'll probably be like his friggin' arms being cut off or something. So yeah, just depending on how everything goes, sort of depends on, you know, the vlog might just be 1 or 2 days late, but I will do my best to get it out on time for you. That's about it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining me again. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next week. Until then, take care and have fun. Bye, guys.